Welcome back to Area DMG. I'm your host, Philip Wesley, the Mile High Mouth, and for today's episode of Suki Neon, I am reviewing episode 24 of season 7 of Adventure Time, Hall of Egress. Egress, according to this episode, means exit, or actually what it really means is the active motion or the ability to move. To egress or to ingress. To enter something is ingress. To exit something is egress. It's pretty simplified, but what this is another one of those episodes similar to Pohoi or Dungeon Train, or some of the ones where you're not really sure if all of it's actually happening. Like all of it might be in Finn's head or so, and it's just kind of his way of internalizing conflicts and difficulties. Now, basic idea is they're going to check out what this hall is. They even mentioned Dungeon Train in there because it's in the same forest. There's a lot of trapped magical artifacts in this. I think that probably has something to do back with like the whole after the Great Mushroom War, that was that whole thing with the mutants and the zombie mutant type things, and then the whole vampires sequence. There's some weird ancient magic dealing with this, or it could just be in Finn's head. It is in a mountain, and as you get higher up, altitude can play tricks on you. Pretty much what happens is he gets into this dungeon, accidentally trips a trap, which causes the door to close on him. Now, he wanders through this trying to find something, and then eventually he gets to a point where he ends up in a room with a little upside down snowman that looks like a puzzle, and then a door with a spinning vault on it. Now, he keeps trying to go through that door, realizes it's kind of magic, so what he does is he starts closing his eyes to get through the door. And by taking away like his vision or so, he keeps moving around looking for something that changes around him. Eventually, he finds himself going further and further into this because whenever he opens his eyes, he ends up back in the room with the snowman. Now, what's interesting about the snowman is if you're dreaming of something, this is all pretty much happening in Finn's head. I think at the end of it, when he makes his way out of it by going through the Hall of Egress and then leaving, and then keeping his eyes closed till he finds the Hall of Egress in a whole other position in the his the world that's in his head, and reopening. It's kind of like a Holy Mountain or some of those types of I guess you could say trippy end quote, like quote trippy end quote movies. But anyways, after he finds the thing that changes, he enters a section where he's kind of inside the inside of his head, and then finds his way out through it. So he finds a different way of dealing with this problem by going around it and keeping his eyes closed. You see, Finn is stubborn, just like his dad, essentially, where they'll find a way to go past something without that. The whole symbolism with this one, with like the snowman and with it being upside down, when you dream that you're upside down or parts of your dream are upside down, essentially whatever's upside down means it's something you're not dealing with. Now, I guess the snowman in the room, or the elephant in the room in this one, or rather the upside down snowman literally in this room, if you dream of the snowman, you're dreaming of something temporary or chaotic in your life that you can't really deal with. And when you destroy snow or something inside of a dream, you're dealing with it internally in your head. Finn is going out of his way to avoid dealing with it. Now, this could be either his weird emotions in regard to how everything went down with the whole Flame Princess thing, how a lot of the characters around him seem to be changing quite a bit. Because when you start out with the story, when he's younger, it's much more simple. There are a lot more simple storylines. With the more recent seasons, you get more character development of a lot of the minor characters around him. I mean, you have in the first season, you had say Tree Trunks with her weird innuendo, and now here she is with her marital problems in seasons 5, 6, and 7, where you have the Ice King, who would just seem to be your villain of the week type character, who's really more of an Alzheimer's patient, and his storyline is ridiculously sad. Then you have the whole thing all of last season with the whole build up to Orgolorg and the whole thing with Finn's dad. Now, I think the snowman in the room essentially here isn't Finn trying to figure out how to deal with, the fact that he is responsible now for his dad's death or reincarnation, essentially, and all the stuff that happened with the whole Orgalorg storyline. Um, I think the question he's not dealing with is that he never got to ask his dad what happened to his mother. Now we're supposed to be finding out soon a few more hints about what happened to Finn's mother. And I think we're going to see some more of that near the end of this season. This is a filler episode essentially, but it's got a deeper symbolism to it that this is a series where we look through the backgrounds of it, and it was a pretty good episode. The ending section is gorgeous, but in that art style, and it's one of those with a little bit more meat to it. I immediately went on Reddit to check and see what people thought, and I was like, yep, there are people who are also fairly confused, but how many of them have seen Holy Mountain? That's another confusing piece of art. It's more like trying to think of the best way to describe it, but yeah, it's a quick little episode. There's some funny parts there where Finn is running around pretty much like there's this little side thing where BMO and Jake keep trying to get him to open his eyes, and that's kind of amusing because it keeps pushing him back into the cave. And he technically is supposed to be able to deal with it, but he ends up fixing his problem at the end by essentially not dealing with it and running blindly away from it until something changes. And this kind of does show a little bit about Finn's emotional state. Overall, I liked the episode. I wouldn't say it's one of the stronger episodes of this season, especially since this season had the really awesome Stakes miniseries. But overall, pretty decent. We'll find out later on if it has much to do with anything, really. And hey, did you like this episode? What were your thoughts on this episode? Hit those comments below, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and until the next episode comes out, you are now caught up.